Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Welcome to this edition of Lancaster Perspective. I'm Mike Miller, and my special guest today, Kathleen Duffus. How you doing?
I've been doing great. How about you?
Fantastic. I'm doing well.
Good to hear
Are you getting ready
that.
for summer? Are you?
Summer is not my favorite season, so I'm as good as I can get.
Now, are you one of those that makes the project list and, I have to have this done by June 7th and this done by
Actually,
July?
I don't. You know what? Summer is not my... Now, I start in September. It's like I go crazy, but summer's just kind of a laid back, whatever happens, happens, and look for the fall.
That's exactly it. My wife gives me a list, and I'm like, I check stuff off before it's done. And she said, "You got all that done already?" I said, "Sure."
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, so are you looking good? You're enjoying life.
I am loving life.
Well,
Absolutely.
that's Kathleen is a life coach, coach through life.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get started in that?
The way I got started in coaching was I actually found out that this was a occupation about 7 or 8 years ago, but I've been coaching all my life.
Mm-hmm.
I've always loved positive thinking. I've always loved motivating people and encouraging them, and when I found out that I could do it as my own business, that just lit me up. So about 7 years I got online with my my business, Coach Through Life,
Mm-hmm.
and I started to get out in the neighborhood about 2 years ago because I was basically online before that, but I got out into the community a couple of years ago, about 3 years ago now, so that I could get the pulse of the community as far as coaching goes, and I think I was about the first one out there. There are others now, but yeah.
Website, phone number, if somebody wants to get
Yes,
hold of it?
they can call me. My number at home is, or I should say my cell number, it's my work number, and my office number, 740-407-6460. And they can get on www.coachthroughlife.com. So they can find me on Facebook, Twitter. I'm everywhere, like everyone.
What do you think about social media with all that? I mean, because I've talked to people that they like it, but they don't. I mean, what do you think about all the changes that have come about just even the last 5-6 years?
I think social media is fine, but I think we are relying on it too much now. We have lost the ability to have relationships that are one-on-one or meaningful because we all have our relationships somewhere on social media. And I also don't like the fact that people feel free to post anything and everything about their lives on social media. Things that they would have never told you face to face, and still probably wouldn't on a face to face situation. But people are very free on social media to just do whatever. It's kind of scary.
That's a good point, because I talked to somebody the other day about it, and they were along the same lines that we used to just talk to each other, and we don't. I mean, we used to go to Tim Hortons and talk or whatever it is, and we don't do that as much.
Right.
When you're talking with someone, and we'll go through a couple of different scenarios later on, but when you're talking with someone, is it relaxing for you? Is it?
Yes. I try to make it relaxing for both myself and my client, but yes, it is, because I'm listening most of the time to hear what it is that the true matter that we're trying to get to, that's causing them to not change, or the thing that's making them want to do something that they're not doing, or do something that they're not wanting to do. So if we talk long enough, I hear it, and I can say it back to you, repeat it back to you, and say, is it this that you're concerned about, or this? And then we can work on steps from there. So I'm usually very relaxed, and hopefully they are too. I meet people out in coffee shops and places like that. I have had 3 office locations in the last couple of years, and I find that really just my best office is out in the public.
Now, do you deal with just adults, or do you deal with children too?
I have done mostly adult work, but I've had a lot of adults tell me they would love to have their teenagers come to see me. So, and I don't know how the teenagers feel about that, but the moms and dads think it would be a great idea. So, hopefully, there's a lot of people helping people these days as far as coaching goes, kids especially. they have their teachers and their peers, their coaches, their,
Right.
you know, so there's a lot of help out there. But I think it's every once in a while that a parent feels maybe not qualified on some subject, and they think, well, if I sent them to a coach, you could fix my child.
Right,
I can't.
right.
I certainly couldn't. But I would certainly talk through whatever their situation is and try to help them.
When, I mean, some of the world has changed. Well, I mean, is it hard to talk to parents who are maybe working with their kids, or even the parents themselves? I mean, do people say, well, gee, this wouldn't have happened 5 years ago or 10 years ago? Or, I mean, is that...
I don't hear that, but I do know that some parents just have blinders on. I think they just see their children and their situation the way they want to see it. And so there's a blame game that goes on sometimes with kids in schools, because I can blame the teacher, I can blame the subject, I can blame the schedule, but I don't have to take the blame myself if my child's not performing. And really sometimes it comes back to what's going on in the house, in the home.
Right.
And that's where they really, don't want to deal with it. On the other hand, though, there are good people also who are willing to learn more
Right.
about what their kids want and how to best serve them and help them to grow.
Are people in general that you deal with, are they acceptance of, okay, I know I have to do this, and we're going to talk about, you have 10 steps that we're going to talk about in a minute, but in general, are people, I need to do this, or this is what I need to overcome, I have this barrier. Is it easy for people, or is it more, no, I'm okay,
It's both. It depends. I do a lot of work with personalities, because there is a personality that says, I'm fine, just the way I am. And then there's a personality that's open and says, I'm not so good and maybe I need some help. So it really depends on the personality that I'm dealing with. But people who come to seek my help are wanting to get helped.
Right.
But yes, I do a lot of public speaking, and I can always see the guy in the back of the room going, I don't get any of this, and I don't need you. So yeah, that happens.
Is sometimes people, are they scared of the truth, I guess, might be? Is that
I think
fair?
so. Or facing it. They usually know what it is, but to
Right.
have to face it or verbalize it or do something about it, that's a little scary, because that means change, and change is never easy. But change is always positive.
Now, do you deal with just individuals? You do like couples, or you just deal with individuals?
I usually do individual one-on-one coaching, but I do speaking, so sometimes in my
Right.
speaking I will
Right.
take a group of people, we'll have a group discussion. So, and I've done that in the past, and I should get back to it. I've had small groups, like on a Tuesday or Wednesday morning in a cafe somewhere, and we would all just
Right.
get together
Yeah.
and talk, so that helps too.
I
Yeah.
think we met one time down at Four Reasons, or you were doing so. I walked in and we talked for quite a bit. Did this come naturally to you?
It does. It does come naturally to me. I've always been an encourager, and I always have been someone who wants people to see the best in themselves and feel good about themselves, because many people just don't. They're just very
Right.
critical and hard on themselves, and I have to tell you, I am too. I guess maybe that's where I learned it. I am my hardest, worst critic, but I see from my own perspective what is happening in someone else's life, and I can
Right.
say, you really want to turn that around, because
Yeah.
I've tried to turn so many things around to help myself.
Right.
So yeah,
Well, I think the first time we met, I think it was at Pickerington Chamber, I believe.
I think we met at West Staff the first time.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's where it was.
Yeah, the very first
And
time.
we talked, and I said, well, this is interesting. This was, is it, I don't want to say a knack, but do you find it easy to talk with people when, just in a normal, say, like walking through the building or
I do.
walking downtown?
I am one of those people who hates silence. So a pregnant pause is way too pregnant for me. I have to fill it with something. So, and I'm naturally interested in people,
Yeah.
and I like to make people. I like to appreciate people,
Sure.
so I like to notice people. And sometimes it's hard because they're not all
Oh, yeah.
receptive, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you study people? I know people that go to malls and they sit and watch people, or they're at a conference and they'll sit, in the back. And do you do that?
I will study people who are performing or who are
Okay.
speaking.
Yeah.
I do study those people, or I'll listen to a presentation and I'll try to figure out what that person's all about. But yeah, I think probably I don't know that I sit and observe people, but people are fascinating to me. So yeah, it's interesting to see all the different facets that people display.
Have you ever talked to somebody and you thought, I don't know.
Yes.
Other than me, I mean.
Yes, because some people don't want to change.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the hardest thing with anybody who's
Right.
out there helping people in any situation.
Mm-hmm.
They have to want it.
Right.
And when they don't want it, you kind of know, you know, I'll do my best, but I know this person's going to do
Right.
their own thing. They are just used to it and want to.
I know that there are 10 things that you talk about keeping people from success. The first one is the number one thing that holds people back is a lack of vision.
Yes. Most people just flow through their lives without any thought of where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
And once you create a vision for your life, then you've got a place to start and a focus. It's like Jesus said in the Bible. He said, my people perish for lack of vision.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true in our personal lives. If we don't have a vision, something we want, a goal that we are striving for, we're just floating along hoping something great will happen to us, and it generally doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But if we work on a vision that we have in our hearts and our minds, we'll get there. But we've got to have it right the first time. Write it down,
Right.
focus on it, and keep working on it.
You mentioned when Jesus was talking, does that turn people away sometimes? Do they,
If I talk about religion,
yeah, do they? I don't.
You know, it's different. I think everyone believes in
Mm-hmm.
God. But I'm a Christian
Mhm.
woman, and my coaching business is a Christian
Right.
coaching business. So I always talk about him because I owe him so much
Mhm.
of my life. And so if it turns him off, I'm fine with that. You know, this is who
Right.
I am, and I teach people to be who they are.
Mhm.
So it would be totally fake for me to say he's
Right.
not a big part of my
Yeah.
life. But yeah.
That was, and we've talked many times about the
Mhm.
medical condition I had. And,
Yes.
And when I told people that, you know, I'm only here because he didn't want to take me in,
Mhm.
and people say, "You really believe that?" Well, there's 9 doctors that said no. We don't have
Not
an answer
supposed to
for
be
it.
here. Yeah.
But the second thing, we've been conditioned to talk negatively all day long.
Mm-hmm. We hear it all day. We talk to ourselves that way. We talk to ourselves the way our parents talk to us in the negative sense. We don't say, gee, Mike, you did a great job today. You know, we say, Mike, you know, you think, oh, I could have did that better.
Yeah.
I should have been better at this. Or because it's just a natural thing that we don't speak well of ourselves. And even though people might like us and say good things about us, we tend to push the good things away and take the negative things, and that's how we talk to ourselves. You dummy,
Uh-huh.
you know, what'd you do that for? And subtle things like that.
Mhm.
You know, well, that was stupid. But
I've heard that a lot.
instead of saying, that was great, but
Yeah.
a little bit not so much.
Yeah.
But we do it. It's just life. It's just who we are. But we can
Right.
relearn those things and speak better of ourselves.
There's no one to blame.
There is no one to blame. The finger has to point back
Yeah.
at you. We always, like I said, we want to blame someone
Mhm.
for the job we didn't get, or the promotion that we don't have, or,
Mm.
you know, there's always someone else we want to blame. But really, when the blame comes right down to it, it's ourselves. We have control of things.
Right.
So we shouldn't blame ourselves, but we should look into ourselves and say, I have something to do with this, the outcome of this situation. So I'm not going to look to anyone else to solve this problem but me.
Is that hard for most people to
I think
accept
so.
that? Gee, it's not my fault. You know?
Absolutely, because things can get really tough in life, and it is so much easier to look over there and say, had that not happened,
Mhm.
this wouldn't be happening.
Right.
Instead of saying, I think I had something to do with that happening, and so how do I turn that around and make this better? So, yeah.
The fourth thing, everyone has their own set of negative beliefs.
Yes.
And I was going through the list, thinking all my negative
You were-
beliefs that I have, and I just I mean.
Give me one, for
well,
instance.
you know, not the sky is falling, but you know, it's gee, I can't do this, or
Mhm.
I can't. I'm not. You know, why am I doing this? Or when I did have my medical issue,
Mhm.
why is this happening? Why is
Right.
this going on? And people were telling me, you know, you're getting better, you know,
Mhm.
and I think that's part of it. I just didn't, you know, well, things were so bad. Now they
Mhm.
are turning around. But
Yes.
is it hard to deal with people that just, you know, the negative aspect all the time?
It's hard to identify sometimes, but it's not hard to deal with if you want to deal with it. You suffered some loss.
Mhm.
You know, you had a big part of your life
Right.
where was kind of taken away from you. You have a recovery period that you're going through, and you're still thinking, I'm not where I was, I'm not where, I'm not where I want to be,
Right.
but you're not where you were when you went through that situation. So if every day you can look at the things that are happening that are great for you and focus on the great things and continue to look at things being great, they'll get better. So yeah, it happens that way.
Is is money, the financial situation, is that a driving point for a lot of people?
People will mention money, people who have it and people who don't have it. Money is, yes, it's something that I can say, well, I would have done that if I could afford it, But see, we really prioritize in our lives, and if there is something that I really, really want that costs some money, if I really want it, I'll find some way to get the money.
Right.
And anyone else will too. If you already have the money, most of the time, people with money, they're not happy because they have everything they want. So they really don't even know what they want anymore. It's at their fingertips. So it goes both ways. But yeah, we should never let a lack of money keep us back. I know that sounds tough because a lot of people would say, well, I just don't have it. I don't have it. And if finances, jobs being what they are and so forth. But you got to believe that things will get better every day and then look for ways to make them better.
One of the things, number 5 on your list is stepping out of your comfort zone. I mean, familiarity holds everybody back, but just stepping out.
Yes.
And I do that a lot. I mean, I don't know if I can do that, but talk a little bit about that.
When you step out from, and it's hard, okay, because it might not be, you might be miserable in your job, you might hate your life, because a lot of people say, I hate my life, but it's comfortable, I'm used to it, so I'll stay where I'm at. But as soon as you say, I'm not staying here anymore, or I'm leaving this position, or I'm not taking this any longer, that empowers you, and then you start to feel like, you know what, maybe I could do this. And yeah, it might be uncomfortable. If I stepped away from my job and had nothing, it would be uncomfortable for a while, for sure, for anybody. But that would cause me to catalyst into something completely different, probably the thing I always wanted to do. Because now I've got nothing holding me back. I've got nothing. So I can only go forward and start over. And I can start over where I really want to be. So it's really happiness when it happens.
I understand now. Number 6, it's essential that you trust the process.
Yes.
And I think that was, when I was reading through, I guess trust is foremost, but I like that. I think of the ones, that's the one that stood out for me.
If you trust the process, if you trust that you can do this, if you believe that people are good, and if you believe that you're going to surround yourself with people who want you to succeed, trust that process. And by the grace of God, things will come to you out of places that you never thought of, because you trust the fact that they will, So, yeah, people might say, well, that's a positive attitude, and that's that positive attitude, but it really matters to have it, because if you trust that there's good, God set good out for all of us. It's just that we don't always know that that's what He's got in mind, so we don't always do what He planned for us. I'm sorry about my telephone. Let me turn that off.
Well, that's okay. We're going to trust it and go off. When you talk with people, is that the first thing they I don't trust anybody, or is that something that comes up a lot?
It comes up eventually.
Yeah.
But usually they come with a situation that they're in, and then eventually we get to who they trust and who they don't trust, and how did it get to where it is. So yeah.
The number 7 is a lack of focus, and I'm the first one to admit I don't focus all the time, but
it's a good idea to write down a few goals. And if you did it, here's the great thing to do if you do it, and I don't always get to do this either. You have, say in your wallet, 3 goals that you want to achieve. And so every day when you pull out your wallet to use a credit card or give somebody a piece of money, there are those 3 goals. And you might ask yourself, am I doing today what will help me accomplish any one of these 3 goals? And if you see yourself not doing anything to help those 3 goals, then don't do what you're doing, and find something that will help you achieve those 3 things, or one of those things. But it's that lack of focus. It's that not having a dream or not having a goal or a plan that keeps us just mediocre in where we are. So yeah, it's good to do that.
That's just take like a laminated card and just keep a...
Sure, or a business card that someone's given you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, or your own business card that you're not going to hand out. You don't want to hand that out to people, but make sure it's yours. But yeah, on the back of a business card, and you can place it in like the part of your wallet where the the laminated part is, and you can see it. So every time you open it, it's like, you know, I want to do this, this, and this. Then you ask yourself, is today and what I'm doing today helping me accomplish any one of those three things? And if it's not, then you need to change how you plan your day and what you do.
Now, do you get involved with, I want to say support groups, just for lack of terms? I mean, do you
Yes.
meet with groups of people?
Yes, I do. I always entertain the opportunity to speak, and I'm speaking to one next Thursday. It's on Hope. I'm terrible by names, but it's a group that I'm going to get to talk to, and I'm doing a women's retreat next weekend. So I do a lot of group activities in Berlin, in the Amish country. And I'm actually doing with a church from Pennsylvania that's coming out there to, you know, the women's group is coming to Berlin, so I'm going to spend a couple of days with them. So I love to do group discussion like this and help people in a group. I enjoy it very much.
Number 8, people have the wrong view of happiness.
Yes, because we think that happiness is, if I get that, I'll be happy. If I do that, I will be happy. And we never get to that or that. And if we by some chance do, we find out it's not happiness that we found.
Is this what I chased?
Yeah, so happiness is an inside job. And you can be happy every day if you make up your mind to be, no matter what is going on in your life. And that sounds like really trite, like it's so easy. It's not an easy thing to do, but if you wake up grateful to be alive, thankful for, you know, what you've come out of, and decide to be happy, and then do something happy for someone, pay somebody's coffee bill, or do something that makes them happy. That's the kind of thing that keeps you on the happy track too.
It was, when I was growing up, it was an older gentleman that told me that do 10 things for people, 10 different people, but if they find out, that doesn't count.
Oh,
you know,
wow,
like, just pay for their coffee, or, you know, if their newspaper is out in the middle of the road, just take it up and put it up on there. But if they find out, it didn't count. And I always thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, that is neat.
I think number 9, settling for mediocrity.
Yes, don't we all? Because again, it's the comfort zone. It's mediocre, but once we decide, I don't want mediocre anymore. I don't deserve mediocre. I deserve the best. I'm going for the best. I'm not going to be, you know, the middle of the road guy anymore. I'm going to excel at what I do, or I'm going to step back and find out what it is I really want to do and do that. But we are happy with mediocrity for the most part. Most people are. So that's one of the things that holds them back from success. If they really want to be successful, they have to excel at what they're doing, or there'll always be that go-to guy that, you know, he's a nice guy, but he's not going anywhere. So you got to make up your mind to not be mediocre. And
do you think in today's, I mean, the kids today accept that, they embrace that, or
mediocrity is okay?
Yeah, that's I just want to get through high school and, you know, maybe go on to college, or I want to, you know, become an auto mechanic, or what it is. I mean, is that maybe society, not kids, I guess, maybe society in general?
Yeah, I can remember being in high school and saying that myself. I can't wait till I get out of this. But I think, I think there's so much opportunity. I think someone who really wants to do more will find what it is and do it. Parents help with college and so on and so forth. But really, if the kids get a chance to just identify what it is they want to do, instead of being pushed sometimes into what the parents think they should do. Like if you have a family business, and you just know your son's going to want to take it over, and he just can't stand even being in the building, but you're going to make him be the, you know, CEO someday, he's certainly not going to be happy, he's not going to excel. But if he gets to find what he loves to do and gets to do it, then I think that mediocrity thing just happens to people who are just kind of not, you know, could care less and don't want to get through life and
whatever happens. In number 10, I wondered why you had this at 10, because the most successful people are those who are passionate about what they do. And people told me, and of course I coach high school, but people always said, be passionate about what you do.
Yes.
Whatever it is, do it to the best you can, but be passionate about what you do.
That's so important, because if you're not passionate about it, you just, why bother? You know,
Right.
it's like the 10 million other things we have to do every day. But when you find your passion and you are determined that you're going to have that passion, you're going to have that career, you're going to have that outcome, and you're passionate about how you're going to get there and who you're going to meet and what it's going to take, and you visualize it and write it out and think about it every day, be passionate about it. And yeah, be good at what you do.
Sure.
You know, maybe we can't all be exactly where we want to be, but we can make where we are exceptional. And from there, you know, the sky's the limit.
Right. We just have a few minutes left. Time has absolutely flown by. And you've been doing this for a while. And I know that you always talk about you can do things better, you can do things smarter. For an individual that is just, I want to say, just kind of floating, not, you know, maybe undirectional might be it. How do you handle that? I'm just, you know, an individual says, I just don't know. I want to start this business and I just don't know what to do. I mean, I don't. Is it?
Well, if a business is the dream, if that's really what they want to do, then we have to look at what is causing you to not know what to do. Is it you don't know what steps to take next, or you don't know where to get financing, or you don't know how to put the whole thing together, or you know, what's the actual heart of the matter? You know, do you really believe that this is something that's for you, or are you just thinking that maybe I'd like to try this? You know, so we really got to just go through the steps and find out a lot of questions, find out what it is that holds you back. Are they mechanical things with the business, or are they really the important heart of the business that you're concerned about opening, starting?
We are almost out of time. I can't believe how fast this segment has gone by. One more time, phone number, website.
Yes, www.coachthroughlife.com, and my phone number is 740-407-6460, and I'm on Facebook and Twitter, and LinkedIn, and all those.
We just have a few seconds. Social media, is that?
Social media.
Yeah, that's the way to go. Is that the?
That's how everyone finds everyone.
Yeah.
So yes, unfortunately, that's the way we got to go.
Well, Kathleen, we appreciate you coming in and talking. We'll have to have you back on.
I would love to come back.
I know the last time we talked, I got a bunch of phone calls about, you know, how do I get in touch with you. So we do appreciate you know, spending time with us and giving us some insight. And we'll have you back on.
I would love it.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Lancaster Perspective. I'm Mike Miller, and remember, until we meet again, let's make a difference.
When it comes to choosing a school, parents who want the best education for their students look for academic excellence, skilled teachers, a safe school that encourages their values. Students want a school with competitive athletics, unique opportunities, and friendships that last a lifetime. Fairfield Christian Academy, the place where parents and students agree. Enrolling now at fairfieldchristianacademy.com.